Good evening, grasshoppers. Happy New Year to everyone. We're going to get in one more study stream before it's too late. We are now going to be studying the games of the very ferocious attacking player, Nezhmetdinov. He was a renowned attacking player, a genius of his day. We will see this in his play. He was very creative. He suffered a lot. In fact, he wasn't able to play internationally until after the death of Stalin. He was kept, as many Soviet masters were, under lock and key in the Soviet Union, not allowed to travel. And it created a little bit of hardship for many of those masters that were really, really good. Truly, truly good. And Nezhmetdinov was one of many casualties of the oppression that faced the former Soviet Union. And to this day, there's still quite a bit of that oppression left, as even Daniel Dubov was recently berated for even helping Magnus Carlsen. Can you imagine having a Russian world champion again in the form of Daniel Dubov, if he can capitalize on the experience that he's gained by working with Magnus Carlsen? What they really don't understand is the globalization that we have experienced, right? For the most part, we are very lucky very, very lucky that in most countries we're allowed the freedoms to play chess, to make friends across continents. And all in all, it is unfortunate that those that live in places that are not so well trusted, they can't trust their citizens to travel internationally. I'm going to take the update off as we managed to finish a match with, it is still 2021 for me, December 31st. And Apostolette gave me a run for my money, or for my channel points and my rating points, as I always believe in playing rated matches and being responsible as far as having that accountability to let somebody farm me for my rating points. Very important to understand that that you have to stick your neck out if you want to become better. And I also want to wish a little bit of a very happy birthday to Jennifer Shahade. Jennifer Shahade's always been a very good friend. She is a prominent promoter of chess among U.S. women. I was very happy to have attended her U.S. Championship victory in 2001 in Seattle, when she played in a field of, I believe, 64 players. They invited the top women to play amongst the men in a 9-round open event, and she was the top scoring woman, scoring very, very well. I actually would love to do a Jennifer Shahade study stream at one point in the near future. And that would be of my own accord for the most part. Now, Nezhmetdinov would find creative attacking ideas regardless of what color he was playing, and he always played for a win. I think in his earliest event he won 15 out of 15 when he was 15 years old, having just joined the Kazan chess club. So another feature of Nezhmetdinov is that he managed to find attacking play while answering e4 with e5. And even if his opponents played a quiet opening, he was not at all afraid of counterattacking and attacking the center. There are three ways to deal with the center. The old school method, Steinitz, would hold the center. Basically, you play e4, e5, and you hold on to your grip on the center. In the modern era, of course, with the hyper-modern school of chess, you give up the center. You let white build a big center, and then you attack it from the outside later. On the whole, attacking the center is one thing, but being able to attack it from the get-go is another. So here, while white is attacking the center, black strikes at the center. Now this is the main line, as I have been playing in a no d4 December, knight c3 on move 1 for the duration. I have not studied it enough yet. I will have an opening study based on that. Cheers everyone, and Happy New Year. If you've not yet followed, now is the time. So, first and foremost, white needs to decide how they're going to continue. They have to follow through on their idea. You should be capturing a center pawn, one way or the other. You cannot not capture a center pawn. And when this knight comes into the center, knight on g to f3, Nezhmetdinov, of course, is developing as fast as humanly possible. White actually threatens not only the bishop, but also the b7 pawn and the d5 pawn in this particular setup by threatening to play queen to b5 check. Black decides to give up the bishop for the knight. Now this was reminiscent of Chigorin, and he had hyper-modern ideas like Spielman and Reti as far as attacking, and he knew the value of time in the open. And in this particular position, he allows his opponent the very risky move, queen to b5 check, in order to hold the center, and in order to counterattack, and in order to keep up the pressure. Bishop takes f3, by the way, removes the defender of that short diagonal, which allows the queen to come in on a square such as f2. So we're going to bring in our pieces to the best of our ability as quickly as we can. White, on the other hand, just plain ignores what is going on. And Nezhmetdinov, of course, completely understands that queen h4 check is going to be met by g3. Look at the thumbs. And I am drunk, brother. That's what I translated that at. I took about 15 minutes to use the facilities, 10 minutes to get another glass of wine and appease the missus. And we're going to start again with a study stream of Nezhmetdinov for Apostolate. I accept everything that you've done, Quadraspassky. I trust you implicitly. And hopefully, if I request any emotes, such as I did earlier, they're calling him. Oh, the wine is really helping for my throat. It's almost as good as like Vicks, I tell you. Maybe I should have been drinking wine the whole time I was sick. What was I thinking? Nice Cabernet. It is great to have you back, Quadraspassky. You're the best, man. So, obviously, we're going to remove one of the defenders of the white king by playing bishop takes g2. It matters not that we're down a rook, but the white queen is out of play. Black has a very active knight outposted on the 5th rank, and as I've mentioned before in many streams, a knight on the 3rd rank is worth a knight. A knight on the 4th rank is worth a bishop. A knight outposted on the 5th rank is worth more than a bishop. And a knight on the 6th rank, as Lasker has proven in our Lasker study stream, a knight on the 6th rank could be worth as much as a rook, as demonstrated by the Lasker Capablanca St. Petersburg 1914 game. If you wanted to look that one up, just to make sure that you understand that a knight on the 6th rank is worth as much as a rook. No, man. Send it up. Send me the bill. Let's do it, buddy. It's good that this is an after-hour stream. I'm actually, as far as these study streams go, they are going to remain public. So please be careful with the language, just a smidge. Just in case, I was planning on recommending this one for my students, but I'm sure their parents will explain what's going on. It's bad enough that I'm drinking on stream. We're going to get there, alright? So bishop takes g2. This is an apostolate-like move, obviously. We're going to be reaching into this position as deeply as we can. And now white, of course, I don't know what white was thinking, but white decides to protect their king against any further checks.
Check.
Putting their king on it on d1 and allowing this very pretty finish for the most part. Basically, Nezhmetdinov is not after, I repeat, he is not after
Check.
the rook. This is craziness. But basically, check. Check.
Check.
Oh no! Oh my god, I can't believe I did this. 1 second, let's do this game again, one more time. e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6. I was wondering why this game did not make sense. So here we go. Knight f6, f4, d5, counterattacking the center, as we talked about before. Knight takes, knight takes. Knight f3 is the very natural move. Bishop to b4, queen to e2, allowing this check and the sack of the rook. One more time from the top. Let's start this study stream one more time. Thank you, Apostolate. So basically, Nezhmetdinov, one of the most ferocious attackers of his day, playing knight c3, knight f6. I've been relegated to knight c3 myself, as I don't really want. I'm not always in the mood to play e4. I play every move on the first move. But honestly, knight c3 is one of my favorite first moves. a3 is one of my favorite first moves. I love the transpositional possibilities into everything, and I love attacking the center. Usually black does not attack the center, but in this particular case, he does have to attack the center. Now let's just do this correctly here after knight to f6, knight to f3, bishop to b4, queen to e2. Bishop takes f3, b takes c3. Bishop takes c3, and now bishop to g4. This was the continuation that I wanted everyone to see, and now, of course, it makes it much more clear as he tries to guard his king, and Nezhmetdinov gets the traditional smothered mate in with black. For the most part. A lovely finish. And it was because the b pawn took on c3. It is a great red. Cabernet. Highly recommended. As I am in a more somber, serious mood, sometimes I prefer a Shiraz. Thank you, MD Knight. Our esteemed. I wish there should be a super VIP badge. There really should. Other than that, there really should be a super VIP badge. I'm telling you. Other than that, I'm just going to give him a shout out. Got a very cool picture of MD Knight's uber cool twin brother there. No worries, sir. I got it. We're all good. Tough time of the year for me, but we're all good. MD Knight, by the way, one of the greatest supporters of the stream. I hope that the gifted subs are also tallied up exactly the same way. There is a famous game on Chessable, by the way, where Korchmar wins, plays a Polish immortal, by the way. The hardest part about this is spelling Nezhmetdinov's name without being able to see it. Nezhmetdinov. Probably since this is a Nezhmet, and this is in Odessa, his hometown. He is a legend. Quadraspatsky. Brandon Jacobson was playing in the Charlotte Chess Center International. I've always wanted to play in the Charlotte Chess Center International. I really do need a traveling computer for streaming. I don't know what I'm going to need to do it. Might need to do the whole donation thing to get the traveling computer for streaming. But yeah, Quadraspatsky became uber near and dear to my heart. When you pick out somebody who doesn't have a sense of humor, who doesn't have the ability to roll with it in real life, it's his own fault. Indeed, Quadraspatsky. Cheers, man. No, I have a good sense of humor. I mean, I don't always get it because chat is a little disjointed. But I hope you're feeling better, though, Quadraspatsky. The screwdriver to the jaw, to the face, not cool. Not cool at all. I really wish I could take my opportunity with them. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to say anything too direct. No, I understand completely. Wasn't the screwdriver that did it. No, I'm a big believer in justice to the world. There are a few dark turns that I could refer to, but all in all, I've had my man on fire moments. I've had my man on fire moments. One of the truly greatest movies of all time is Denzel Washington's Man on Fire. It is a remake of an earlier Italian film, but done to the greatest by Tony Scott. Yeah, I would have just hunted them down myself. I'd be on that street corner every night looking for them. I'd be like, meanwhile, back to some chess. Korchmar tries to slow things down a little bit with d4. Nezhmetdinov is a big believer in d5. White tries to keep things positional with knight f3. And of course, after knight f6, this does not work. This is not the Tory attack, by the way. It may appear to be the Tory attack, but it is not, I repeat, the Tory attack. The Tory attack is a quite ferocious opening played by myself and world champions alike, like Victor Korchnoi. It even resulted in Mark Arnold's first win against six-time U.S. champion Walter Brown. That's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. So, Mark Arnold, by the way, Mark Tyler Arnold became a Grandmaster. His first win over a Grandmaster, or his most notable win over a Grandmaster in 26 moves, was against six-time former U.S. champion Walter Brown. And upon discussion and basically thinking about what the opponent can do and the strategy, the approach to the game, Mark Arnold can play any opening moves that he wants, just like myself. And that's what I like to teach. I want the moves to come from within you, not from somebody else, not from me. They have to come from within you. The strategy has to, and the ideas have to be yours. So here, this is the Tory attack, and this is a very serious idea, because basically we're going to exchange our bishop for the knight. We're going to put our pawns on dark squares, and it's far superior than the London. I can't wait to come and hang out with you for a bit in the UK, alright? I promise, first chance I get, the moment I get my head above water, traveling wise, school wise, perhaps even financially, I'm on my way, buddy. So, I have made the mistake of also trying to play the Tory attack against bishop to g5, and the major drawback here is that black has to move knight e4. This is a little bit embarrassing. It's also the best move against... Uh-oh. I'm in a spot of trouble because I need tissues. Am I really thinking, though? Absolutely, I'm thinking. I've said it before. I don't know, how far are you from Mark Hepton? I wouldn't mind if we all hung out with Mark Hepton. I don't know if you've ever hung out with Mark Hepton, but he's got a hell of a sense of humor like you do. But Mark, that's very cool. I'm glad you know him. I'm glad you know where he is, because Mark is absolutely hysterical. Very good bloke. Captain Bridge, but I'm pumped. I'm going to message him and I'm going to find out. So, in general, though, in this particular instance, Nezhmetdinov does allow white to pin the knight. And the only drawback, or the only difference here, is that black does have a pawn on d5. If white refrains from c4, then that usually means that he's going to be playing a quieter system with c3 and knight on b to d2, and black has to respond appropriately. Bishop to d3. Now, honestly, as a mature modern player, when this setup is played, I recommend that you do not castle. If you can defer castling for a period of time, the center is closed, you don't need to do it. Never mind. Leicester. Well, there are a few blokes that I wouldn't mind visiting in England. David Howell. Obviously Mark Hebden. Keith Arkell. Keith Arkell also taught with me, and he was here in New York City for a period of time. I learned, in fact, that was where I renewed my love for the Caro-Kann, thanks to Keith Arkell. And he even taught some of my students while he was here, which is really cool, because he is an endgame specialist. When I turn him a link, I cannot wait to learn how to speak English from you. For real. I really want to learn how to speak English from you, Quadraspassky. I tell you, we're already 24 minutes in with 4 viewers. How good does it get? Who else is here? Don't let Quadraspassky dominate the... besides MD Knight. MD Knight is sitting back and enjoying the show, I know. Payne Fullest. I'm not sure about this play with viewers bot. I somehow enabled that. Chose No Warrior. There is a legend in the viewing audience. Chose No Warrior. Happy New Year, sir. By the way, even though I might keep some of the dojo outfits, trust me, we're all hick yokels at heart. We're always trying to get out of the city and get to some relaxing place. So, Nezhmetdinov actually castles, because in those days it didn't really matter. But to me, the most important thing against systems like this is that you attack the center as fast as possible, you take care of your knight, and you don't let this knight get outposted. That is absolutely the case. Do not let that knight get outposted. Do not let your opponent get f4 in. But Nezhmetdinov is doing the best he can, despite the fact that he's allowed white everything that they could ever want. In fact, I'm going to go all out on a limb and say that white could even be sleeping in a puddle. That's how much he's happy about this. Queen f3, I'm not so sure about. Knight e7, f4, e5, and knight e4. Now I think there's been a little bit of a roadblock thrown in as the weakened dark squares are happening. So basically this square here is covering the e4 square. So while it may look like this square is only directly covered 2 times, it's attacked 3 directly. It's actually attacked indirectly, defended indirectly by the queen to h4. So there's nothing to be feared here. So after bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, nothing can really happen on this square because after bishop takes, we always have queen h4 check. White actually loses a piece. If instead of castling, which he did in the game, if white plays d takes e4, white actually loses a piece on the e4 square. Thank you very much. Because of that indirect attack on the e4 square. So white castles queenside. Black reinforces his knight since there's no check. And white plays rook on d to f1, which seems a little sketchy. Why bishop e7 first, Ezrin asks, which is a very good question. Let's take a look at that for a moment. So here, why bishop e7 first? Well, the bishop is being attacked 3 times. So how are we going to handle this? If we do any move other than bishop takes e7, we're taking on g5. So let's just imagine for a moment that it's knight takes e4, bishop takes g5. Knight takes g5, queen takes g5. For example, first things first, Ezrin. Cheers, Ezrin. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm going to be doing this more often. I have a YouTube channel that needs work. Jesus Christ, Quadraspask, you're going to bleed me dry. I better get some new students. I better actually start accepting students if you're going to bleed me dry. But I'm ready to work with you, buddy. The good news is, because I know Quadraspaski, so for example, in this particular position, I think we can actually just play pawn takes and we're still in the same situation that we were before. Or are we? I think we're winning material this way as well. If queen takes e4, bishop takes g5, is black a pawn ahead? No, white's a piece ahead. So the only move for white, black is a piece ahead. So the only move for black is queen takes e7, queen takes e4. But I'm not going to play that way. After bishop takes e7, bishop takes g2, bishop takes d8, bishop takes g2. And after rook g1, I will decide what I'm going to do from here. I can choose an equal endgame, or I can take the bishop. Black has 7 pawns, white has 7 pawns, I don't know. So let's get back to Ezrin's question here. Why bishop takes e7 first? Let's just get rid of these arrows for just a moment. They're saved for posterity. By the way, The first time I ever drank a bottle of wine on stream was when I closed the deal on this house in April of 2020, and I drank a bottle of Bolero, and I posted it on Instagram as well. Bottle of Bolero, a nice, very, very expensive bottle of red. Bolero has become one of my favorites. So, why bishop takes e7 first? Ezra, you need to help me out here. What were you thinking? Please make sure you follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. I would appreciate it. The sooner I get those up, the sooner I will start advertising on Instagram the streams a little bit more often, because we are going to be doing some serious instruction. Damn it, in 2022, we're all gaining 222 rating points in 2022. We're making the most of this, baby. So, why bishop takes e7 first, Ezra? I know I'm plastered a little bit, but you have to help me out here. I don't see another point. As it turns out, the way the game went, white castles queenside. New Year's goals are bust. We're going to be doing some push-ups every day. We're going to be doing puzzle streak every day. I reached a new high of 75 on my puzzle streak today, and I'm going to be reaching a new high all the time, every single time, every week. The real deal with trying to solve puzzles is don't assume that you know anything. Check everything. So after rook on d to f1, which is the way the game was played, in the pursuit of an imaginary attack, Korczmar withdraws his pieces from the queen side, where white himself will soon be attacked. And we get to see rook on a to c8, which is a pretty obvious move. I'm not entirely sure what Korczmar thinks he's doing with this extremely slow maneuver, as the white king now comes under assault on the c file. And after e takes, we have to consider some moves for black. Candidates for black, please. MD Knight. What are some of your New Year's goals? I'm going to mention that mine are to reach, I don't know if I can reach 12 stone, 14 stone. Okay, Google, how much is 14 stone in pounds?
14 stone is equal to 196 pounds.
That's it.
To convert from stone to pounds, multiply unit of mass by 14.
My goal is to reach 14 pounds. 14 stone. I have reached it before. The last time I reached 14 stone was on June 19th. Got it? 6/19, 196. June 19th of 2020. That was the last time I reached 14 stone, on June 19th of 2020. So black to move. Where's my, here it is. Please pause the video if you're watching this on YouTube. Give yourself a chance to look for several moves in this position. Remember not to look for the best move. Look for all the good moves. Open your eyes to all the possibilities. Basically, you've been told not to give away material for free, so how are you ever going to find a sacrifice if your opponents or your teachers have ever told you never to give away material for free? How are you going to find a move with a pawn break with f4 if your chess coach has always told you never to move your f-pawn? You got the answer to this in 55 minutes? Alright, I'm saving it. I've got it. Almost closed the wrong window. Cheers, mate. I'm going to take some voice lessons from Quadraspassky as well, because I hate my voice. The only reason why I don't do this more often is because I think I sound like a wanker. If you found the move knight takes c3, then you are on the ball, because this is the right way to go about it. Knight takes c3, b takes c3, rook takes c3, check. And the king has to make a run for it. He really should, indeed, make an absolute bloody hell run for it. He cannot allow this queen to come in with a vicious assault. So basically, if the king had gone to c1, he might be able to run for it with king e2. On the other hand, there expires with, and then bishop a6 winning material, so it didn't really matter which way he went. I saw that pretty well. Absolutely. King d1 also loses. Queen a3, king e2, rook takes d3 with the idea of bishop d3. Now I can read the notes. Thank you, Nightbot. So queen to a3. This is the big idea in his, but that doesn't stop the pressure on the d3 bishop. And of course, we need more attackers at all times. Not just more attackers with the rook, mind you, which is also the case, but more attackers on the king. Knight to c1 attempts to defend, and candidate moves for black. Let's do this again, everybody. That last one was a real bupkis. Nobody tried. What kind of wankers are we? Everybody should get this one. 45 seconds. Chess coach Andres would be very disappointed in all of you. As am I. I can't wait to adopt the chess coach Andres method. And I could, of course, adopt it better. I watched his lesson on YouTube with Falco. He is coaching her from, he is coaching her for the PogChamps or whatever the heck it could be. But honestly, you cannot give your students moves at any time. You must lead them to finding their best moves. All right, time's up. Among those 4 viewers, remember, you're not looking for the best moves. Give me a move, any move, now, do it. If you've not yet paused your brain, unpause it and spit it out. Don't worry if it's the best move. This is checkmate. If you don't see this checkmate,
check, check,
it's game over. Next up, Rotten1Lemons, by the way, requested this amazing possibility. Now, this is remarkable because black wins. I mean, he's winning as black. He's no slouch. I have to remember how to spell this name. Kosol Apov. And this was also played in Odessa. No, I'm sorry, this was in Kazan, 1936. Everybody's asleep on New Year's Eve. Less alcohol for you. I'm cutting you guys off. No more drinks for you. This is actually one of my absolute favorites. It reflects what happens when white tries to play passively. In this particular position, of course, everybody should know what the best move for black is. I will give you 60 seconds to spit it out. This is a normal opening position with colors first. Let's do this, guys. I need to take a lot of these viewers out of the mix. I shouldn't see anyone in the viewer count except for those that are actually very realistically willing to become better players. Payton fullest. Let's do this. Give me a move, sir. Coxie PSO6. Give me a move. Any move for black. Remember, do not look for the best move. Look for the moves that appeal to you. You have a bishop move, and a pawn move. Not that difficult. Shows no warrior must be as plastered as I am. Streams under the influence. What can you do? Or chose no warrior is just lurking. I appreciate the support either way. D5 is the obvious answer because remember there are three ways to deal with the center. Attack the center, hold the center, or give up the center. Strong masters prefer to mix it up between all three. Now, white's move, of course, D3 was a terrible, terrible choice. There's Metger's defense to the four knights defense. After bishop to b5, bishop to b4, castles, castles. D3, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, d6. And basically you could also play queen to e7 instead of d6, as Nezhmetdinov refers to it. And then with the move queen e7, the concept is that we're going to play knight to d8 and knight to e6 in this particular position. The subsequent transfer gaining time on the bishop, and of course we're going to build up in the center with c6 and d5. That's Metger's defense, which I actually learned about from Nick Conticello when he was a very young man. God rest his soul, he's no longer with us. But now we have Rubinstein's defense to the four knights, which is not bishop to b4, but knight to d4, and if knight takes d4, e takes d4, e5, dc, ef, queen takes f6. D takes c. Queen e5 check unfortunately leads to a death-defyingly equal position after queen e2, and after bishop takes, queen takes. It's going to be extremely hard for either player to win this game, which we don't recommend because of the symmetricality of the pawn structure. Even though black has a small advantage over those double pawns, we have 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, symmetrical structure, not going to happen. So therefore, Rubinstein's defense could accidentally end up in a draw just as well as any other variation. He suggests after knight to d4, bishop a4 is possibly the best move, and I know that black will continue with bishop to c5. He also considers in this main line the symmetrical variation, which you have to watch out for. Capablanca Anonymous, basically the most famous game of all time. Oh, so it's here that I learned about it. Basically bishop to b4, bishop to b5, castles actually threatens the e5 pawn because the black king is in the center. So black castles, threatening the e4 pawn. And after d3, d6, now we actually have to watch out, because after bishop to g5, we cannot follow in a symmetrical fashion. We can't follow in a symmetrical fashion at all. Best is usually bishop takes c3 or knight to e7 for black. If we try to copy white's position, then knight to d4, knight to d5, knight takes, knight takes, knight takes, d4. And now, unfortunately, we lose to the unfortunate this, that, and the other thing. As Capablanca proved in a game against an anonymous in a simul. Capablanca managed to do this, although I think that in the Capablanca game the bishops were on c4 and c5, and he didn't have to capture on those squares. So here we are. With the move d5, we're counterattacking in the center. White gives up the center. I don't know who's black and who's white anymore, because these two players are playing adversely different. White is playing very passively. Chess coach Andres would have some very choice words for this. But honestly, we don't need those choice words. So after castles for black, it is most likely that white should castle in this position. However, white instead played the move knight e4. I'm going to bring up the opening book because this is the only time we're going to see it. No one has ever played knight e4. Castles, of course, is very logical. Played by GM Tranquilizer as white in 2013, Levente Vadia. But instead, so Tranquilizer, Luis Gallego, I think that's it as far as streamers go. There's only one streamer mentioned there. Knight e4, however, is never played, and we preserve our bishop pair, and now we're preparing to take over the center with f5 and e4. White castles, f5 is advertised, and the knight retreats. He actually had to retreat to the queen side if he wanted to have a chance. But instead, after f5, e4, we are going to take some candidate moves for black. Yes, I'm requiring some participation. You can only become better by trying to find good moves for black. It doesn't matter if you're wrong. In fact, it's even more importantly good if you're wrong, because then you've improved something about your play. Black to move in this particular position following the Nezhmetdinov attacking model. Cheers, Rogan. It's like noon for you, isn't it? Come on, man. What I need is a time, not a RJS. Please follow Rogan Joe Sloan. I love this guy. Rogan has been with me from the early days. I actually don't know who was with me from the earliest of days. I can look back at my follower list and I'll find out. But I know that Rogan has been there. Trevlar, Arsenal fan Richie, who's no longer with us, only because he chose not to play online.
This nation owes you a huge debt.
Cheers, ZBS 898. I don't know the Dome game. Sometimes you can play a game without playing a game. For example, can you give me the best move for black here? and I will play you a game. I do want to play other games. I just haven't chosen what game. Right, Rogan? What other game is there? I don't usually play games. I only play chess, poker. Some game. Well, the game right now is find the best move for black. Unfortunately, the timer is up for the 60 seconds. If we're pausing, I'll give you another moment because we didn't get any moves. Monopoly. Scrabble. Poker. I really enjoy playing poker. I've been going back and forth on Twitter with Daniel Negreanu all evening long. I agree with everything Daniel Negreanu says. The guy is very smart, sometimes abrasive, but he tells it like it is, and I appreciate that and I respect that. So G6, that's a good move. It's also a good mauve, especially if you like the color mauve. I would love to play Risk. I haven't played Risk since I was a kid. That's how I ended up learning how to play chess. I played literally every game, every board game that my cousin had. I played Operation, Monopoly, Monopoly Junior, Risk, Othello, everything. And then I finally said, you know what, this game chess is pretty cool. This is really the game. This is the only game. But thank you for the follow, ZBS. Chess helps you get better at all other games. Rogan, no attempt? The only way you can become better is by making the mistakes from which you can learn. Well, in this particular case, we're actually fulfilling a viewer reward request from Rotten1Lemons on Nezhmetdinov, which is going to take a little bit longer, as I usually spend an hour or just over an hour on this for the most part. But G5 is the move. And White actually panics by moving his knight back to e1 without waiting for the move knight to g1. And now black to move. Let's do it again. Sasser D. Let's see some candidates for black. Please follow the legends of the stream. I am FIDE trainer and National Master John MacArthur. I've been teaching chess for a long time, almost 40 years. In 2024, I will have been teaching chess for 40 years, and I'm only 39 years old, which is hard to believe, but I'm that good. I'm that good. I think we lost Quadraspassky. He went back to work on the emotes, I believe. Either that or he passed out. One or the other. Love the guy. Still 2 hours away from the New Year for me. Happy New Year if this is the new Happy New Year for you. C5, D5, but we also have Knight F4. Our time is up. I assume that you meant Bishop to C5. F4, Knight F4. Ezrin, he's back. Yes. He better be working on my overlays. He's way overdue on my emotes. I think between the two of us, Rogan, we got him going, alright? So knight f4, crazy move, crazy aggressive move, gotta love it. f3, very passive. And now, of course, bishop to c5 check drives the king into the corner. This is one of my favorite games of all time. I now recognize it. We're going to shift, we're going to lift and shift, capture, sack, and place our queen on h4, and we're going to be great. So c3, bishop to e6. And of course, he comments in his own game, Nezhmetdinov mentions that rook h6 is very strong. There was no reason for him to be afraid of the check on b3, which is what he thought he was because he was very young at the time this game was played. But rook h6 was the move. Let's get the exclamation mark in. If you thought rook to h6. I thought your overlays were done. I mean, I've worked hard on my overlays to a certain extent, but my overlays are very busy and cluttery and terrible. I don't like my overlays at all. I like simple overlays, like the one Quadraspassky is designing for you. I like simple overlays, like the one that Eric Rosen had, for example. Very simple, large streamer window to the left. Yeah, I have a starting soon screen. You already know about all of my screens. I've got the monologue screen for the most part. Just in case. Very scary. I would love to do this one for general chess advice on average. Didn't realize that my microphone was sticking into my screen like that. It's still sticking into my screen. There we go. Now we're in business. Without the monologue screen, I would not have known. Let's go back to our so he hasn't given you one scene to hold you off until he finishes the rest of them? Has he not really given you one scene? That's crazy. I really need to get the whole family in on this streaming business though. I've got daughters in the next room that are absolutely adorable. But I thought you showed me an overlay. That wasn't ready yet? That would look pretty good. I like the writing, I like the script, I like the layout, I like the color. It's very big on red. I did notice that he's given me quite a few red emotes. I did take a quick peek on the last one. But honestly, I have blue motif and mantra right now. I have a generic green, green layout. It's tough, man. I don't honestly know how I would do it. I just have a generic, very big layout for the screen. I don't do any OBSing. What can you do? For those of you who don't know, Rogan, Joe Sloan, and I are talking about the difficulties in trying to figure out what the heck is going on with our layouts. Could probably do a just chatting stream all night long about this stuff. Definitely check out Rogan, Joe Sloan. So now you want to play g4. But that is the best move. He actually played bishop to e6. You got it from before though, Rogan. Pawn to g5 means pawn to g4, I'm sure this time. You need to get that notation down just a smidge. So after bishop to e6, knight to c2, he finally gets around to rook h6. bishop e3 with the help of the knight. Notice how these pieces are trying to be coordinated. This is the earliest mark of a master. And as Rogan pointed out, g4 is the move. Sacking the bishop and threatening mate. However, you have to take into account that this bishop can also move backwards. How is he going to make this work? Candidates for black? Oh no, Lauren, I'm going all the time, every day, all the way. See, the tricky part, Lauren, is that you get to study chess for yourself through chess motivation, through self-motivation. I actually study chess because I want everyone else to become better. Brunel-Dina. I love the fact that Zalakai said, finally a name I can pronounce. I can say Brunel-Dina. But I can't believe that he didn't do Saber Apparition. Saber's Apparition. Happy New Year, Brunel-Dina. Is it a Happy New Year for you already? It's not a Happy New Year for me for another hour and 50 minutes. Finally, I dragged Ezrin out. Queen to g6, Rogan, doesn't quite work, but queen to g3, yes, you fixed your notation. You gotta do those coordination drills, honestly. Coordinates. Must do these coordinates. I'm terrible. I can only do 30. Andrew Tang can do like very close to 80 in the small amount of time. So queen takes g3. Very straightforward move. Then on c2 to e1. Bishop d5. I'm not so sure about h. I'm sorry, that's not it. I have to remember, I have to translate from descriptive and bad fonts. b4, who's going to play a move like that? Black comes up with the amazing opportunity to play knight h5. Who thinks about moves like these, honestly? Who thinks about moves like these? f3 takes g4. And now, candidates for black again. The 10-minute hourglass is on. Queen takes f2 is possible. Another move. It is women. I'm not sure if I should say International Master, Women's Grandmaster Jennifer Shahadi. It is her birthday today. I'm very thankful. Knight to g3 check. Queen takes f2. And the winner is... You guys were so silly. Check.
Check.
It is quite clear that after the move king takes, knight to e3 check. If the king takes, then this is checkmate. And after knight e3, rook to h1 is checkmate. So this is game over. But you were all on the ball. Queen takes f2, set it up. Queen h2 lured him onto the square where it's all possible.
Check.
King actually did try to escape and was checkmated in that fashion. In our last game, which we're about to do, I don't know if this is the last game. I can't honestly say that. Nezhmetdinov is actually white. Nezhmetdinov versus Konstantinov. And this one takes place in Rostov-on-Don.
Yeah.
1936. I would actually love to tour Russia and find out what the story is with many of these locations. Oh no! Your attention is being called away for the rest of the year. I do not blame you. I appreciate your support, Ezra. You're the man. Can't believe with all these gifted subs, you haven't been gifted a sub yet. Oh, you're Prime, but you're a Prime Gaming member, so you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. That's good. The video on demand will be ready, though, for subscribers. I would love that, man. You're crazy if you want to do that for me. I appreciate that. That's the only thing that keeps me from publishing it. I really don't like it the way it is. Yeah, Twitch Turbo. I think I actually had mentioned that previously. Absolutely. You want to tour Russia for the cheap vodka? That's good, because I'm not touring it for the women. Ukraine, maybe. Some other, Latvia, maybe. But forget about it. So here we are. We need to do one more where the opponent plays the French defense. And in this particular position, the very young Nezhmetdinov plays the advanced variation, which to me is the worst of the continuations. However, he does play the most energetic continuation. I actually like this continuation a lot. If I'm going to play the advanced variation, I am going to play D takes C5. I actually have beaten Grandmaster Joel Benjamin on the white side of this particular variation. Very, very cool. Yeah, it is very ridiculous, right? A full half of subs is insane. Alright, Rogan, we'll talk some more when I'm less intoxicated. So D takes G5, C5. The main thing that you need to remember about this particular setup and this move is that if black plays bishop takes C5, the way I was raised, I'm going to be playing queen to G4. However, Nezhmetdinov plays it slightly differently. So in general, the correct response to D takes C5, as Joel Benjamin played against me, is knight to C6, forcing knight F3, and then only then playing bishop takes C5. Yeah, we got a mastermind group working here. We got to really work on this. Absolutely. So here, when black plays this move, bishop to D3, to me, it's asking a lot. We might do the next one only because it's another French defense. Queen to E2 is white's idea, rather than knight F3. Knight eventually is dragged out. And finally, at long last, knight A3 with a very concrete threat. Two different concrete threats. Knight to B5, C3, and knight to C2. So A6, C3, as we already mentioned. And now black goes a little bit nuts in this particular position. Bishop takes C3, B takes C3, queen takes C3, queen D2, queen A1. And now candidate moves for white. As I use the facilities, and take care of business. Candidate moves for white in this position. Very important position. Not necessarily important for second. Are we ready or what? Castles. Next. Porgs, hello, how are you? Cesar D, thank you for the last follow. SBS 898, I know you wanted to play other games, but Silavi. Vasanth, Happy New Year indeed. It's not quite New Year for me. It's only 10/21. It is still December 31st. I will change the date on my stream when we get around to it. Unfortunately, we have to cross the Atlantic. But I am here for you. Because we're here to become better at chess. 2022. 222 plus points. A couple hundred points in 2022. That's what we want. In strength. That means that we need to gain 3 times as much in order to gain that many rating points. What's going on? It's white to move. Usually I give 60 seconds. But in this particular case, this is an extremely cool move. That's why I'm giving extra time for it. White to move and win, basically. We are studying the games of Nezhmetdinov. If you do not know Nezhmetdinov, you may find his Wikipedia page here. Amazingly enough, prior to this stream, I did not have him in my birthday calendar. I really didn't. It was crazy that I didn't have him in my birthday calendar. Hard to believe, right? King F2 might run into Queen D4 check. So maybe there's a better move. Now, Nezhmetdinov never became a grandmaster, but he was indeed. King E2. I can see where you're going with that. If Queen D4, perhaps Bishop to B2 will gain time on the Queen. There's an even better move. Are you ready for this? As the time is up, he actually traps the Queen in its entirety with Bishop to B1. This is quite incredible. Bishop to B1, and actually there is no stopping the move Bishop to B2 on the next move, which forces Black to resign. I love these lines where Black manages to lose the game in 14 moves or less. Bishop to B1, right? Pulling that bishop back and trapping. I actually have one in my chessable course where white plays bishop to B8 to trap a rook on A8. There's a queen on B7. It doesn't look like you can attack the rook in any way on A8. Bishop to B8, supported by a rook on B1 and a queen on B7. The rook has no way out and it's completely trapped. It is quite cool. And that is the miracle of Nezhmetdinov. I'm going to add one more. This is Pimenov. Make sure I spell everything correctly. And this was played in also Rostov-on-Don, 1936. If you can imagine, this was before World War II. That's the most important thing to me. And it also comes from a French defense. Now, at this point, you can see that Nezhmetdinov has learned his lesson. And he is no longer playing the move E5. He's given up on that gimmicky line. And he's now playing a rather standard classical variation with bishop to G5, attacking and defending the center. And now on move number 6, candidates for white. Where's my 2-minute timer? I want to give you guys more time. I'm going with the 2-minute timer. Just because you deserve it. Remember, you're not looking for the best move. Take all the pressure off of yourselves. You're not looking for the best moves. You're looking for all of the good moves so that you can have a piece of it. A piece of the puzzle. Rogan, I can't think of a better person I'd want to spend the new year with than you, sir. Lauren J.W. Oh my God. Alright, I admit it. I'm starting to get a little bit of a crush on Australia here, Roken. I do have a link to this study. Absolutely. I put the link in the Discord, by the way, as well. I will be putting the link to the in the Discord shortly. Please join the Discord. I will also put the link here. It'll be underneath the studies. It says World Championship Studies, but I'm going to put it in both. The general. Dragon Emperor, I think, is in Singapore. He's like 4 hours ahead of Europe. Thank you, Wild Porks. For joining the Discord. And the study's right there. And you'll also find that there is a separate World Championship study channel as well. Well, maybe I'm just the kind of a guy that likes to go down under. Alright, that came off wrong. It's possible that I've been drinking enough wine. I'm a big fan of going down under. Lauren, take it easy on me when I get there, eh? I'm there to play chess, teach chess, study chess, become better at chess. If we happen to catch a rainforest, that'll be good. This is probably the best time of year because it's winter here, it's summer for you. Although I think I'm going to have to visit Roken as well. I can't come to, I can't take like an 18-hour flight. I know, in January you have the Australian Open. Oh, you mean in the chess? Whoa, that would be amazing. I don't know how your COVID situation is right now, but white to move. When Grandmaster Joel Benjamin went for the Australian Open, I believe he also was there for the Australian Open tennis, and he didn't actually book it, buy a ticket, and he really regretted it because he said to me when he got back, "When am I ever going to go to Australia? I want to play in the Aussie Millions poker event, which is also held soon." Rogan with the under the belt Commonwealth joke there. Well, let me know. All right, Lauren? I'll do okay. I don't know about well. My own standards, well might not be well enough. A well is a big, deep hole in the ground. But I would enjoy coming. I would love hanging out with Gary Lane. Ian Rogers I know. I don't know him that well. I'm acquainted with Ian Rogers. And his wife. They travel together. Met Ian Rogers in 1995 when he came for the New York series is right behind me, the Intel World Chess Grand Prix as well as the World Championship. I'm glad you say that. I remember the last time a friend of mine told me that I would win Foxwoods. The Foxwoods Open is held on Easter. It used to be held on Easter every year. And it was a guaranteed prize fund of like $100,000, something like that. And I actually scored. I split $9,000 with one other fellow who managed to catch up with me. And he was right. I was like, that's crazy. I took Ben Feingold out to dinner among many others. I definitely want to play in the Australian Open chess event. Let me know. And Rogan, we have to find out about the similar New Zealand events, yeah? I don't want you to think that I'm leaving you out because you were first in my heart. All right, Rogan? So no one's giving me a move here. H4, Rogan Joe Slow with the Alkine Catard attack. I'm going to spell that one out for everybody. I've been playing this since I was very young. And it even helped me to finish nicely second in the Nebraska State Chess Championship when I was playing in the Midwest. It was the Nebraska State High School Chess Championship. My own teammate finished in first place because I took out the candidate master 2000/2100 rated player with this move. I didn't know what I was doing, but this was the only game I drew. I finished with 4.5 points. And my teammate finished with 5 because I had to play the master. Indeed, I don't blame you. Now, black should not capture. There are a lot of great miniatures in this variation. A lot of amazing miniatures, some of which I might actually show. But after the move h6, white plays the move queen h5, which keeps up the pressure on both counts. If black were to take the pawn, Garry Kasparov prefers the move bishop d3. By the way, Garry Kasparov plays this variation as well, and he wins routinely, usually after bishop d3. However, the old school method is knight h3, and after queen e7, queen g4. Depending on how black answers, then knight f4. So let's just say king f8, knight f4 actually threatens to play knight f6, gf6, queen f6. So if this were to happen, this would be devastating. And at the same time, I've actually had someone play knight to b6, and I've captured on d5, attacking the queen. Maybe not in this particular case. Let's turn on the opening book for just a moment. So after king f8, they really want me to play queen to g3 or castles. But I do believe that knight f4 is one of the best moves. Let's look at the Lee chess database. Yeah, knight f4 is supposed to be a hugely good move. In any event, let's turn it back to the masters only. Rather than king f8 and rather than any of that stuff, after knight h3, queen e7, queen g4, king f8, and of course if g6 then knight to g5, we're threatening to get our pawn back. We can simply just castle. Got all the initiative in the world. Alright, sign me up. New Zealand Chess Congress. If I'm going to play, I'm only going to play in places that are 18 hours away from me. Ace on Chess, how are you, man? And the Aussie Open. I've already written those two down. Doesn't matter how many masters you had. They haven't seen the likes of me. We're going to take care of business, Roken. You and I We're going to take care of business. We're going to kick butt. We're going to take names. We're going to really rock and roll. So in this particular case, after h6, queen h5, you can see what's going on already. a6 is actually quite natural to prevent knight to b5 after c5 to prevent this square from being weak. Bishop d3 and knight f8. I would normally ask for suggestions for white here, but it's a very straightforward continuation at the moment with bishop takes e7, queen takes e7 question mark. Believe it or not, black's best move is indeed to play king e7. This happens in quite a number of these unusual positions. Queen to g4, f5, e takes f6, g takes f6, knight h3, h5, trying to counterattack the queen, queen to g3 as we saw before, queen f7, knight f4. Already you can see that there's some trouble brewing on the d5 square. Rook to g8 is part of a counterattack, queen to e3 to keep the pressure on e6, and the d5 square. King to d8. Tough call. Tough call. I might actually, if we weren't tied down to that square h5, we might have queen e7. But I don't get it, right? So as it turns out, king to d8, castles queenside. You can see that black once again, as we saw in the Max Oiva stream, has 6 sleeping pieces. He's not castled, he's not got his bishop or knights or rooks out. It's quite crazy. So black actually plays rook to h8 to guard the h5 pawn to free up his queen. Well, 1 second. I apologize. Our move number 16. Bishop d7, bishop e2, rook to h8, bishop f3. After knight on b to c6, queen to e2. Not entirely sure of this move. Queen d7, e8. Obviously there is 1, 2, 3 attackers. 1, 2, 3 defenders. And now 24 masters. You trying to scare me away, Rogan? Mr. Purple Belt? Mr. 9-month subscriber? Love you, buddy. Well, I don't blame anybody for not letting anybody play. If I could stream coverage as a journalist, it's possible that I could get an exception. I would not be eligible necessarily for certain prizes. This happens quite a bit. In the New York State Championship, by the way, the New York State Chess Championship, you have to be a New York State resident in order to become New York State champion and or to receive certain prizes, but you're still eligible to split other cash prizes, even though certain entitlements might not be available to you, provided you complete the tournament. For example, if I were to play in the New York State Championship and I'm not a New York State resident, if I only played 3 rounds of 6, let's say, and I ruined several people's chances, or at least a couple people's chances before I decided to withdraw, it would be a very bad example of poor sportsmanship. So therefore, I would have to A, agree to complete the schedule and play my best in all circumstances against all comers, and that way I maintain the integrity of the tournament. When people drop out, take buys, it gets very awkward. Very, very awkward. Well, I'm not giving up on you guys. If I can go to Dubai, I want to play on every freaking continent. Forget that. I did play chess in Dubai, even if it was against Conte de Luna on several different occasions in a pub, in a restaurant, and other places. And the guy kicked my butt, but I was lucky to finish even with him. I do love Conte de Luna for showing up at the most prestigious event in the world. That was pretty cool. So bishop to e8. Just making sure where we are on move number 19. Putting more pressure on the center. King feels obligated to defend. And now white to move. Candidates for white. Please pause. Take your time. See, many of these I can edit out everything in between and only concentrate on the game, not unlike Agadmate or anybody else. The main idea here is that because of the following moves, Ace on Chess, by the way, cheers, man. I believe Ace on Chess is a streamer, but I'm not entirely positive. He definitely deserves Ace on Chess. Make sure that you follow Ace on Chess. Better late than never. I have checked out Ace on Chess's stream. He may not be here anymore, but he's going to appreciate your follow later. Candy Est. Candy Eastern Standard Time. How are you? Chose No Warrior. Usually I see Chose No Warrior in the Catherine Bruvold stream. She's about as far north as it can get. She's celebrating the New Year with the Northern Lights. Done? Done as in you've followed Ace on Chess? Or done in that you've got your answers? Yeah, I don't mind if you write them down on a piece of paper and keep them to yourselves. That is the hardest part for me because then I don't necessarily know that everyone's participating. Yeah, Ace on Chess, he means well. I feel bad that I didn't get a chance to shout him out while he was here. There's a small alcohol influence involved in the slowness of my stream today. C'est la vie. When I show up in a stream, I'm very happy. Are you torn about Alekhine? Tell me more about Alekhine. Why are you torn? Are you torn about Alekhine the same way most people are torn about Sean Connery because he slapped around women in the 60s? And today, slapping around women is not kosher. Let's think about this for a moment. At the time that he lived, wine is not the best help with chess. I resemble that remark. Wine is not the best help with chess. This is crushing my performance. I think with 5 viewers, I've been doing so much better all along, all the time, every time, with far more than 5 viewers in the past. It's really a bummer. H3 to C8, very cool. I like the idea of Knight H5. Doesn't quite work out count-wise. But it is interesting because I think that Rogan may or may not have noticed that when the queen gets deflected, the queen might be able to attack. However, the accounting is good. Yeah, it's a problem that we have with Fischer too, right? The art from the artist. It's a very tough call. Kevin Spacey. Alright, I saw John Lithgow in person. I don't know if you know who John Lithgow is, but John Lithgow is a famous actor. And I also have played pool with Noah Weil on the next table. Now they're in this show called The Librarians together. And Noah Weil I got to talk to about this, so his take I'm going to keep private to a certain extent. But when I went to Comic-Con and I saw that John Lithgow was trying to get seated next to another young man, and John Lithgow was being a little bit fresh with the other young man, and the other young man was trying to sit a seat away from him. So it was like John Lithgow wanted to sit next to this other young, very handsome actor, and the other young, handsome actor was trying to sit farther away. And I saw this in front of the entire crowd of thousands at Comic-Con, New York City Comic-Con. And we're seeing them in, these actors all sitting on the stage, and they're arguing over seat placement because the one fellow wanted to sit next to the other. It was not cool because I know John Lithgow was making the moves on the other young actor. Not actress, mind you, but actor. And it was not cool. And it was a really rough experience to be watching in front of a cast of thousands. And John Lithgow is an amazing actor. Kevin Spacey, on the other hand, also had a similar run-in, and for whatever reason, now he is banned from everything because it was made public. But literally in front of everyone in New York City Comic-Con, we could see what was happening. And the other actor was trying to be very respectful about it by moving away from him. Yet John Lithgow kept moving his card / trying to move his seat. It was really ridiculous. It was like watching a musical chairs on this stage in front of us, where all the actors are supposed to answer the audience's questions and talk about the show and things like that. And it's like, as much as I appreciate Kevin Spacey as an actor, I really do not want to think about what he's doing in a hotel room while I'm watching him perform. Same exact problem, exactly. But Alekine has a lot of extenuating circumstances, because I will stand up for Alekine. He could have been a racist. Many people back then were racist, by the way, and they didn't know they were racist. Many people back then were fascist, and they didn't know they were fascist. I have been through it with my wife, who is from India, who is also part black. As a white person, I have a very difficult time with it, even stepping out of it. But basically, all we have to know is that you can't judge people for that period of time based on today's standards. That's all we know. He had a Jewish wife. The theory that I held on to for so many years is that he had a Jewish wife. He was literally married to someone who was Jewish. And that says a lot. It's not unlike me with my West Indian wife, right? He had a Jewish wife, Alekine. He's stuck in Germany, and if he wants his wife or he to live, he has to follow whatever directive is told. He can't say, oh, the world's problems are greater than mine. I don't mind if my wife or I die. It doesn't work like that when you're faced with your own life and death. It just doesn't. The agony of Alekine is a story. Yeah. In general, I am still an Alekine fan, relatively through and through. I prefer to be a Lasker fan, but I don't necessarily know what Lasker's motives were, because he was not torn on the wrong side, and he was Jewish, so he had a little bit of an easier time. Knight e6, says Rogan, as he tries to return us to chess. And the real key is that the key square c5 is calling out. There is no dark squared bishop covering c5. And if the move b6 happens, then we actually have quite a bit of pressure coming through all around in general. So he can't play b6, according to this author. Take a quick peek at the stockfish. They say rook to d8, knight to d8, or king to c8. Well, Black's response was rook on a to d8, which happened to be the best response. After knight to
Check.
c5 check, now we get to see 3 moves for white. Candidates for white. Now we have a lot more pressure thanks to the better placement of the knight. Where is Pegasus? Where is my man Pegasus when I need him? He was actually going to, and in my world, it's 1 hour away from the new year. And in Vancouver's world, in Logic's world, it is 1 hour away from the new year. I actually thought that Pegasus was going to make it past Logic into the new year as far as the lead contributor to the program. MD Knight with a monstrous 37. Nobody's going to beat MD Knight. I tell you, I should be just doing streams for MD Knight all week long. So you'd seriously calculate them all. Rook d3, knight takes a6, knight takes e6. Well, first things first, let's calculate the most important threats, alright? A threat to the king is far more serious than a threat to the center pawn. So therefore you always have rook d3. But that's a very slow move. So we have to look at captures, checks, and direct attacks. So you have knight takes e6, knight takes a6, and rook to d3. Makes it very easy to decide which one you should trust based on intuition. And no, I disagree that you don't need to you need to calculate them all. If you're playing a rapid game, you can just know that this is the correct move, and you have to trust your instinct and your intuition. Go based on your instincts, intuition, and follow through. So after this move, let's just say that this actually occurs. You already know what's going on, and the king has to run for it. If the king goes up here, it is game over. It is game over. Doesn't really matter where that knight goes, because the rook is coming across, even if that knight comes through. So therefore, black chooses to run for it the correct way. And after king to d7, now we have to decide on how we're going to continue this again. I disagree with you that we need to calculate them all. I've actually had conversations with many international masters. Knight takes a6 was correct, but you have to look at your priority of threats to the king, captures, checks, mating attacks, etc. And Igor Slipperman, who is an international master, actually told me he never actually calculated it at all. He used logic and reasoning, and he found the best move based on, absolutely based on, the possibilities that were right in front of him. And so therefore, 3 moves for white in this particular position. Oh, did I accidentally get rid of the position? Sorry. I was wondering why the opening book showed up. Now you remember your... Oh, absolutely, you could definitely do that. But in a lesson format, I'm asking you to basically trust your intuition. In order for me to get you from here to master, you're going to actually have to trust yourself. You cannot doubt yourself. I had a young lady in a class camp the other day. She's putting question marks behind all of her moves. I'm like, why are you putting a question mark behind your move when it's the best move? It's like, is this the right move? I'm like, of course it's the right move. Why are you asking if it's the right move when you know it's the right move? But every move, she was doubting herself because A, she comes from an Asian background. B, she's one of the girls in the family. C, all the boys are favored. D, boys get preference. So therefore, everything she does is second guessed and not as good. Candidate moves, everybody. Rogan. So E4, D4, C4. Please, come on, man. Oh yeah, you're joking about the position that I reverted to. Oh yeah, I'm gonna open my second bottle of wine tonight. This could be trouble. Actually, I was supposed to have a lesson tomorrow morning. Let me make sure that I don't forget about that for yet again. Oh no, I'm really suffering financially, honestly. Wait a minute, Happy New Year. First day of 2022, let's start the new year with chess. That's a lesson that I love to look forward to. I'm going to go for 11 a.m. That's what you need to do, trusting. But wait a minute, remember 3 moves. Remember 3 moves. Yeah, 3. You have 3 darts. I was telling the story earlier that I had in camp last week in the other stream, your stream in fact, with Max Oiva. You go into a games room and they give you 3 darts. You say, that's okay, I only need to throw 1. The opponents get to throw 3 every time. Who's going to win if you get to throw 3 darts and you're only choosing, I'm so good, I only need to throw 1. Because I'm going to hit the bullseye every time. 3 darts. 1, 2, 3. Throw those 3 darts. Let's do it. Well,
Check.
there we go. Remember to throw 3 darts. And by the way, that's correct. Now, of course, you can actually relatively understand what you want to do based on those 3 darts. Pure instinct. And now you're going to get yourself within the general zone of the actual answer. And if you notice, for example, that this particular position, where's my thing? You're attacking both of these squares. So if you remove the defender of this square, You know that when you take on d5, you're taking on, when you take on e6, you're taking on d5 with the bishop, which is going to create incredible amounts of pressure. So you already know that the first move could be the first rather than the second. We're on move number 25. In my camp, I actually asked the students to order their moves, not unlike Rogan. Knight takes e6, and obviously if black tries to play knight takes e6, we're going to play bishop takes e6, and we're attacking two pieces. And it's very difficult, extremely difficult to defend, because if knight takes d4, in order to defend against bishop takes d6 with knight takes d6, we have the simple move rook takes d4, because this bishop is going to take the queen. So you already know what's going on here. So black actually chooses the move. Queen takes e6, rook takes e6, knight takes e6. Knight takes e6 is equally bad because of rook, bishop takes d5. So he actually gives up because the bishop is guarding. No, your instincts were not too far off. In fact, most of the time, the ideas and the moves will have a sequential or a conceptual thread that you will be working together on. So after the move rook to e1 check, king to f7, candidates for white. It's now 11:04. It's only less than an hour away from the new year for me. It's quite crazy, right? The after hours stream. The problem with videos on demand is that nothing's after hours. You're good. Obviously bishop takes d5 / removing the defender is all good. So you are correct. Rook takes e8, removes the defender, and it is very difficult for black to defend himself, so he chooses a counter-attacking move. And of course, if we were to choose even more candidate moves in this position, I'm positive that you will find the correct absolute move. As Nezhmetdinov did find here. Now remember, the purpose of a combination is to reach a better endgame. So let's think about this for a moment. White has 7 pawns. Black has 4. It's quite incredible. everything that black owns. So now you can start calculating a little bit and a little bit more quickly. So you can add a third move to your regimen, Lauren. I know you can add a third move to your regimen. Bishop takes d5, rook takes f8, or you can add a third move. And really, it's not about finding the best move. It's not about even finding a good move. It's about the act of finding. The act of finding and seeking and choosing is the move, is what's going to make you stronger. Opening your eyes to the possibilities in every position, regardless of what's happening in the position. You're going to be doing very, very well. Absolutely very, very well. Your goal here is to seek, and you will find. The 2 minute timer is almost up. I need to use the 1 minute timer to hold the page because it was a little bit odd. There's a little bit of an angle. Cabernet. Believe it or not, yes, Lauren. Absolutely, you're on it. The real idea here is that after rook takes d8, knight takes a6, there is nowhere for the knight to go. The game actually ended after a3, and literally black is down so many pawns that the end game is better for white. I think you need to hold some donations toward a webcam, Broken, because I think that your chat will contribute. Literally, once you assess the whole position, but Vinnick believed that a combination is really all about you already can see that bishop takes check after 1-0. It's game over. We're going to take the knight. The pin on the knight on f8 is fatal. All right, Rogan, let's get back to the business here. And Lauren knows this just as well as Pegasus, MD Knight. We are, as Twitch streamers, completely reliant on our audience to support us and to help us. The only reason we're doing this, like I spent $4,000 on the PC that's below my desk. Why did I spend $4,000 on the PC that was below my desk? Because I was moving to a new house and I wanted a computer that would always be able to stream perfectly and routinely, and that would have good video quality like we have here. I also bought the slightly more expensive webcam. I got an Amazon credit for this and I maxed it out. And then I paid it off slowly. Your instincts of Lauren are amazing. I do not know your I'm going to try to add Rotten Lemons. Rotten1Lemons. I don't know. I want to add Rotten1Lemons to the stream as a contributor, but I can't do it. I wanted to add you to the other stream. No, you're not only 1,800. That's a ridiculous number. All right, last word for the night. Last word for the night. Your rating is only an average of your performance. Half of your performance is going to be above your rating and half is going to be below. If you, I repeat, if you are able to keep the average above your performance, then you are not 1800. Basically, half of your moves are being played well above 1800. It has nothing to do with 1800. Forget the 1800. Half of Rogan's moves are above 1900. Half of them, indeed, are above 1900. That's the only way he's been able to maintain a 1900. And then half of them are below 1900. And because the half that are above and the half that are below are existing, all you really need to do is constantly maintain a slightly higher average performance in each of the selections of your moves, and trust your instincts, believe in yourself, and just always be striking forward. I learned it the hard way with, fortunately, Mark Arnold. I'm going to put him up here again. Grandmaster Mark Arnold actually helped teach me that I was teaching chess the right way, because he was always ahead of his rating curve. His rating was always going up. Why? Because he was always playing moves that were averaging better than his performance. And I realized this not that far in, less than a year in. I started teaching him in about February, and by December he was a national champion. Why? Not because he needed to be a grandmaster. No, but he only had to play better than his rating all the way up. If he played better than his rating all the way up, guess what his opponents are seeing? Opponents are saying, oh, I'm playing at 1100. He's not at 1100. They're saying, oh, I'm playing at 1100. They go to the board, easy game. Oops, not an easy game. Guy's playing better than his rating. No good. And every time this happens, imagine that if you come to the table and you think that you're playing someone that you should beat, and you think of that number as real. That number is not real. And you play against that person as though that number is real. And they actually bring their A game to the table. Instant upset. No good. All you really need to do every single game is bring your better game to the table. All the time, every day, all week long. And obviously there are going to be, for me, for example, I've been rolling with it myself. That's why my rating is about 2200 only. Right? My rating is only about 2200 because in a way my mind is not accepting that I'm playing that much better. I'm beating Ron Hay, I'm beating Pegasus. These guys are 2300s, 2250s. I'm beating them all the time, but because I don't believe in myself, my rating is staying on an average lower. But once I fix that, my mindset, everything, I'm going to be in business. In general, all of you have great capabilities of playing better, being better, and doing better than you could ever imagine. Trying to decide where to drop you guys off. I would love to drop you with a poker stream. That would be so funny. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drop you with another Elite Chess streamer. One of my favorites to watch. He's got a good sense of humor. And then I'm going to be back. Absolutely. You absolutely can understand as well as anyone in the world. But what I want you to realize is that you're capable of great things. And the only way you're capable of great things... No, Magnus is really believing that everyone in the world is an idiot. He really does. He believes that everyone in the world is an idiot, and he is correct. Because no one knows how to play chess. There are only a handful of people that know how to play chess, and 4 of them are dead. Literally. There are a handful of people in the world that know how to play chess. 4 of them are dead. All you have to do is adjust your mindset accordingly. Take care of business, alright? Happy New Year, Lauren. I will be back with another stream, believe it or not, possibly even before this year is over. Cheers. Ciao. Rogan and the legends of the stream, please take care. Please be sure to join our Discord server for our absolute updates on when of these things are going to be happening. Please check out my socials, especially Twitter, as I always notify on Twitter. Cheers.